going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a bootleg vinyl haul, and it is going to be more Furious Madness from Pink Floyd, kind of riffing on the poster of the masked gadgets of Oxymenes. And I say more because this isn't the first time that I've done a Pink Floyd-centered bootleg haul video, but just like the Zeppelin one that I did last month, enough stuff has amassed where I felt that I could do a separate video covering the Floyd stuff. Now, I got these bootlegs from Roland Rex and various record stores, and there's a lot of ground to cover because there are BBC sessions, audience recordings, radio broadcasts, and even some Nick Mason solo gigs. So enough of the chit-chat, let's jump into what this video is all about. First up, we have Embryos Growing at the Playhouse. This bootleg consists of the sole BBC radio session that they did back in 1970 at the Playhouse Theatre in London on September 16th. Kind of tough to classify this as a bootleg since the material on this bootleg was released officially as part of the early years box set back in 2016, but it is still an unofficial pressing. The one downside of this is that it is missing the song Fat Old Son, but everything else is here. The version of Embryo that they do at this session is perhaps the essential version to hear. They kind of add in some long jam type bits to it, which is great. And it also features a rare one-off performance of the song If from Atom Heart Mother, which is fantastic. And speaking of Atom Heart Mother, they do the song Atom Heart Mother with a brass and choir section, which is absolutely fantastic. A very fun and interesting listen indeed. Next up is Secret Rarities. This is a collection of various recordings and demos from the Gilmour-led period of the 80s and 90s. Mainly a lot of jams and alternate versions from the Division Bell sessions and a few demos from the Momentary Lapse period. Not necessarily stuff from the infamous and unreleased Big Spliff record, but when you hear the Division Bell outtakes, you can see where something like The Endless River is derivative from. And speaking of which, one of the Division Bell outtakes on this release is the original demo for what would become the song Anacina on The Endless River. So it all basically kind of ties in. It's a rather interesting portal into this era of the Floyd, and it does come with a rather interesting adaptation of the Division Bell artwork. And then we have the flags from the High Hopes music video, and this pressing does come pressed on white marble-ish colored vinyl. Next up is Eclipsed by the Dome. This is an audience recording from the Brighton Dome on June 28th, 1972. This show was actually professionally recorded. Some bits were released in the Dark Side of the Moon immersion box set, and then there was also a film crew there, and some bits were in the earlier set. Now, that would make for a fantastic package. The professional recording has never hit the bootleg market in its entirety, and what bits were released are highly regarded. But instead, we do have this great audience recording, which is very good. But what is fascinating about this show is that this is roughly 6 months into performing Dark Side of the Moon live, and it basically got whipped into shape before it became the album that we all know and love today. So with things like On the Run, it was commonly referred to as the travel sequence, which was this small jam type of piece, and then the Great Gig in the Sky was known as the Mortality sequence, with just basic organ chords and some monologue playing in the background. So historically, it is a very fascinating way to hear an early draft of what would become the Floyd's magnum opus. But aside from that, it does feature the whole show, encores and all, and there's also some bonus cuts from a show from Leeds back in January. This was put out by Casino Records, and this is an absolutely gorgeous package. Absolutely love the artwork. Nice triple gatefold with some photos as well as some liner notes talking about the show, which is pretty cool. This pressing is limited to 400 copies. I have copy number 216, and this comes pressed on white vinyl as well with some very nice custom center labels. Next up is Pictures of Pink Floyd. This is actually a reissue of one of the earliest Pink Floyd bootlegs that came out back in 1971 and 1972 called Pictures of Pink Floyd Volumes 1 and 2, but they just put them together in this one package in this case. Volume 1, the first LP, consists of recordings at the concert set in Gothenburg, Sweden on November 11th, 1970. The A-side is given to The Librist Spacement, which is this sort of Quicksilver-esque disc jam, which then leads into Embryo, which is interesting. Even though it is merely a jam, Roger did give it a title, so it does count as a sort of rare performance. And then Volume 2 on the second LP consists of recordings from the Stadthalle in Offenbach, Germany on February 26, 1971. What's cool with this one is that it does feature a non-orchestral version of Adam Hartmother, which is always interesting to hear. They are all audience recordings, and they do sound quite nice. Very ethereal performances, and overall, just a really cool piece to own given the historical nature. Next up is Broadcasting from Europe 1. Now, this brings together recordings that were broadcasted on European radio. Ironically, two shows that took place in France from Paris 1970 and Lyon 1971. What's interesting about the Paris recordings is that it features the band performing the Violence sequence, which was written during the sessions for the Zabriskie Point soundtrack, and it became the central music theme to the song Us and Them on Dark Side of the Moon. So that was cool to hear. And it also features one of the earliest played renditions of the band-only version of Adam Hartmother, which was initially titled The Amazing Pudding. And the Lion recordings are a bit rough-sounding, almost like an audience recording. It features them doing Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun and Cymbeline. Live Floyd standards at this point, and the performances do sound solid. The back cover basically explains the recordings a bit in terms of where they came from, and I do love the custom center labels, which are a nice nod to the artwork of older bootlegs of the time. Last but not least, we are going to end this haul with something that is indeed Pink Floyd related, and that is Nick Mason's Saucerful of Secrets first trip and Back to the Underground. This is Nick Mason's project where he and his band focus on the pre-Dark Side era of Pink Floyd. And for any diehard fan that really digs this era, this band is a godsend, because I always felt that this period of the band's career tends to get a bit obscured due to the overlooming stature of Dark Side and the works that came afterwards. So this really hones in on the roots of the Floyd. This is an audience recording taken from their first show at the Dungwalls Dance Hall in London on May 20th, 2018. This is a great audience recording. The recorder of the show must have had a sweet spot, because everything in regards to the band and the vocals is nicely leveled. Now, is this essential to own? Not really, since Nick's band did release an official live album slash concert film at the Roundhouse, but if you are a pre-Dark Side Floyd nut like myself, then you will enjoy this. Plus, it's the novelty of having the first show Nick's band has done. This was put out by a label called Discotron, and they are both limited to 500 copies, and they are numbered. My copy of First Trip is copy number 267, and Back to the Underground is 254. Relatively close numbers. They do come with very nice printed inner sleeves of various band photographs, as well as some live shots, which is pretty cool. And each of the records do come pressed on marbled dark blue colored vinyl. So there you guys go. That is my bootleg vinyl haul of More Furious Madness from Pink Floyd. And make sure to be on the lookout sometime next month for another bootleg haul that I'll be doing, which will cover the rest of the bootlegs that I got this year that I haven't shown you. And that will probably be the last bootleg haul that I'll do for some time going into the new year. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support this channel, be sure to check me out on Patreon. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.